Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer.
Okay, welcome back to the Author's Edge show. Join us for lively conversations with writers, publishers, songwriters, illustrators, and artists as we dive into the art of storytelling. Catch us every Saturday at 8 a.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 102.9, or stream online at KXOK102.com, KWRH929.com, and via iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and TuneIn. The show also airs nationwide Monday to Friday from 8 to 9 a.m. on the My Genre Radio Network. Missed an episode? Find us anytime on SoundCloud, YouTube, or at authorsedge.org. Now that's authorsedge.org. This portion of Author's Edge is sponsored by Doug Osgood, writing under the pen name of D.N. Sample, author of Cold Powder Vengeance, a gripping tale of justice, betrayal, and survival. Cold Powder Vengeance will keep you turning pages long into the night. Available now on Amazon in paperback and Kindle. And welcome back to our studio. It's great to be back in the studio again with my trusty driver and hubby, Ralph, and with Mark, who is the cool guy behind the scenes. And I am your host, Guy L. Freer. And today we have an exciting guest joining us, Gary Warner, an author whose path to storytelling is as colorful as the tales he writes. Let's find out more about this Gary Warner. Gary Warner was born in Syracuse, Kansas in 1943, which puts us in the same boat as my hubby. And grew up on his parents' family farm in Southwest Kearney, correct?
You pronounced it right.
Okay, county. After graduating from Syracuse High School, he attended Bethany College in Lindsborg and Kansas State College, Teachers College, now Emporia State University, majoring music education. Most of his adult life was spent in the automobile business, working in Wichita, Omaha, St. Louis, and finally Sikeston, Missouri. So he's a real local. He was a minority partner in Warner Pontiac Oldsmobile GMC in St. Louis, and served on Pontiac and GMC Zone Dealer Councils, as well as the GMC National Dealers Council. In 1992, he and his first wife, Shirley, moved to Sikeston, where they owned and operated Premier Motor Company until her passing in 2010. In 2019, he married Nelia Regala from the Philippines, who passed away in 2021. A member of Kiwanis International since 1989, Gary is a past governor of the Missouri-Arkansas District and a past international trustee. He has also been a member of the First United Methodist Church since 1992. Since 2016, he has been a greeter and customer host at Walmart in Sikeston, continuing his lifelong love of connecting with people. Welcome, Gary. Now let me turn the tables on you and welcome you
Thank you very much.
to Author's Edge. It's wonderful to have you here. Now, your book is called Musings of a Walmart Greeter. And I'm sure that there are lots of wonderful stories that often start with the greeting, hello.
That's kind of sums it all up.
It sums it all up.
I just keep repeating that for 160 pages.
Hello.
Hello.
You've worn many hats: teacher, car dealer, Kiwanian, and now the famous Walmart vest. When did you realize those stories deserved a book?
Well, after my first wife died in
Mhm.
2010, I went through a real bout with depression.
Oh, I can just.
Yeah, it was a very dark chapter in my life. And about a year after she passed, I was in the doctor's office visiting my family doctor, who is also a personal friend. And we'd finished the examination, and he sat down and he said, "How are you doing, Gary?" Well, I said what I always said, "I'm doing fine." And he said, "Gary, how are you really doing?" He was a
Mhm.
member of my church and a friend. And so we talked about depression a little bit, and he asked me if I had considered journaling. Well, you just shared my life story, and there's not a whole lot in there about journaling. I moved pretty fast, and I didn't have much time to write during my lifetime, even though I'd seen and done a lot of things. So I took his advice, and I went home and I started writing. And I'd never really done that much before, and it kind of morphed from writing about Shirley to just writing. And I wrote about just whatever I was thinking about at the moment. And, you know, I was feeling better during that journey.
Right.
And one night, good friends from the church just showed up at my door, knock, knock, knock. And I was working on a journal at my table.
Uh-huh.
And we came in and we were sharing a glass of iced tea. And of course, a lot of my friends were concerned about how I was doing during that time.
Uh-huh. How long were you and Shirley married?
39 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I write about her in the book a little bit. My story is woven kind of and around the other stories I shared. But anyway, we were sitting at the table and she asked me, she just interrupted me and she said, "Do you care if I read this? What is this?" And I just turned the computer to her. I said, "Be my guest." And so I'm talking to her husband and she just said, "Honey, you've got to read this." It was kind of embarrassing to me. And so she talked to me and he read. And when they got through, they said, "Gary, you really need to consider writing a book." And that was the birth of Musings of a Walmart Greeter. I don't make big decisions. I'm a man of faith. I don't make big decisions without praying about them.
Uh-huh.
And I usually look for 3 signals.
Uh-huh.
And I remember about 2 weeks after that encounter, I woke up in the middle of the night, just sitting up in my bed thinking, everybody's got a story, which is really pretty weird. And, you know, it was 2:30 in the morning. And so I let that pass, but I'd been praying about it. So I realized that maybe something was happening. The very next day, I was having lunch with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the lunch, he just looked up and he said, "You know, Gary, everybody's got a story." Well,
that was your 3.
that was 2.
Oh, well, what about the night, in the middle of the night?
That was 1.
Oh, I see. I was counting your
There
friend.
you go. You know, English teachers can't count very well. And so I'm used to But anyway. So the following Sunday, I'm sitting in church and our pastor, who writes a very nice thing on the back of my book, she was the associate then. In the middle of her sermon, as she looked over in my direction of the church, she paused in the middle of her sermon and looked right at me and said, "Everybody's got a story." I could not tell you what the sermon was about, but I can tell you
So that was
that was the birth of the book.
Okay, you see, for me, the first time was when your friends who knocked on the door said, "This is really good."
Yeah.
That would have been the first time.
Well, I
For
was
me.
probably for most people it was, but I take a little longer to make a decision. I wanted to make sure God and I were on the same wavelength.
On the same page.
Yeah, literally. So the very next day from that Sunday, I had to go out to Walmart and pick up some things.
Uh-huh.
And I'm standing at the checkout, self-checkout, looking at the people coming and going. And I mean, it's Walmart.
Oh, yeah. We all know
and
Walmart.
I'm standing there and I'm going, oh my God, everybody's got a story and they're all here. And I went home that day and I named the book that afternoon. And I took a job at Walmart. That's why I went to work at Walmart. Worst job I've ever had as far as pay, most fun. And
worst pay job, most fun job.
Yes, I went there to write the book.
Do you still work there?
No, I left in May.
Okay.
The book was finished.
Bravo.
I mean, you can only take lousy pay so long,
And your mission was finished.
Well, it really was. It was quite a journey.
If someone told you 30 years ago that you'd become a philosopher of aisle 9, what would you have said?
I would have looked over my shoulder, pretty much sure that they were talking to the person behind me.
Name 3 lessons you've learned about humanity from the front door at Walmart.
Well, that's interesting. Probably the first thing I would say is that everybody does have a story.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I would say is those stories matter. They matter to somebody. That person is loved by someone. That person is needed by someone. That person is touching lives even when they don't realize they're touching lives. Third lesson. Well, sometimes you have to spend some time with people to dig past the clutter in their lives to find out what their stories are. And so I guess the third lesson I would have learned out there was patience.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of patience to be with our fellow man and woman.
Yeah. As a teacher of 39 years,
You practice that a lot.
Oh, patience is, patience truly is
When
a
you're selling
virtue.
cars, it's pretty important too.
Yeah. Oh, see, sweetheart.
That may be
when
another
you're
book.
selling cars, there's a message there, sweetheart. There's a really pretty car that I was hoping that we would purchase in the very near future.
Maybe I can help her get that accomplished.
Mm.
I still have friends.
Well, it's a Kia.
Oh my goodness.
But
Yes.
getting back, tell us a story from your Walmart thing. Can you tell us something?
Well, there are so many. Some of them are funny.
Well, give us a funny one.
A funny one. Well, probably one that comes to mind immediately is at Christmas time. If you've you've all been to Walmart. If you go back, they've got these family pajama sets.
Oh gosh, those things they drive
I've
me
seen
crazy.
people wear every kind of pajamas that you can imagine. And this one particular morning, I'm standing at Walmart. We were not real busy, and this young couple came in, and he was wearing pajamas, and they were kind of dirty, and he had on cowboy boots. And I remember the leg.
How come I can see this in my head?
Yes, one of his pajama pant legs was stuck in the top of his cowboy boot, but they were holding hands, and his wife, girlfriend, whatever she was chewing gum. I mean, it was a job to her. I mean, she was chewing gum, and he had this big wad of tobacco in his cheek. I mean, it was so big, it was bulging there, and you could see it. And they were walking, well, sort of walking. They were really kind of engaged in something as they walked, and were kind of all over each other and giggling and laughing. And just after they got past me, he said something about, "I love you, honey," blah, 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 blah. And she leaned over, and they went into this embrace and started kissing there in the Walmart. And, the gum was chewing and the tobacco was dripping. And I'm going, oh my God, I just witnessed something that's really sickening. But I laughed.
Oh my gosh.
So that certainly was funny.
Oh
One of
my.
the most this experience was just mind-stopping. I remember one day, if you've ever been to a Walmart, you come in, there's the entranceway, and all the registers are to your right, or you go into the store. And as I turned around, I saw this man, very frail, sitting on his walker, right in the path where everybody had to come from the registers to get out of the store. And I walked over to him, and I knew I needed to, in a nice way, see if I could get him to move, but he looked frail. And I asked him if he was okay. And he looked up at me and he said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I'm going to die in 2 weeks." I don't know what you say to somebody that you've never met before when they tell you, "I'm going to die in 2 weeks." But I remember, the world just kind of stopped for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I took his hand and I said, "I am so sorry." But I said, "I have some good news for you." I said, "You are going to be in a place very soon where there's no more pain, no more sorrow. And we're not supposed to pray for people." But he needed a prayer.
Yeah.
And so there I was standing in the entrance exit of Walmart, and I took his hand. It wasn't a long prayer, but I said, "God, please wrap your arms around this man. Let him feel your love. Let him feel your presence. Take him the rest of his journey till he finishes his life and can be with you. Amen." When I got through, he squeezed my hand and he said, "I've been suffering with cancer for 1.5 years. He said, "You're the first person that had the courage to talk to me about my cancer." When you have those kind of experiences with people, it takes you to a different place. It just does. One of the most precious moments I had at the 8 years of Walmart. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Story,
Yeah.
So you worked at Walmart for 8 years.
It took a long time to finish the book.
I would say so. Has anyone ever told you that you brightened their day? And did you believe them?
I don't have time to share with you all the stories about that. I really don't. When I left Walmart, I posted on Facebook that I was leaving, and the post went viral, and it was seen by 687,000 people.
Wow.
The comments would fill books. God bless me in so many ways.
Did you use any of those for your book? Did you use any of those comments for the book?
This all happened after the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the book was written. It was published. It was done. I hoped that it would touch lives, but, had no clue that it was going to impact people the way it did.
All right. You're listening to Author's Edge, where real life and retail meet in aisles of laughter. I am Gail Freer on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 1029. Stream us anytime at KWRH929.com and KXOK102.com, or shop for stories with us on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and TuneIn. Today we are chatting with Gary Warner, author of Musings of a Walmart Greeter. That's quite an opening aisle, Gary. Do you like that?
That's pretty good.
Hey, laughter, heart, and human nature on a rollback. Let's wheel this conversation down to the writing aisle and see how you package these stories. When you sit down to write, do you picture the Walmart entrance or escape it entirely?
I really rely on the stories to kind of tell me where I'm going.
Yeah?
You know, um, for those that have read the book or are going to read the book, every one of the stories is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would sit down at my computer, I would usually, when I knew I was going to write something,
Mm-hmm.
I always carried a little short notebook in my pocket. And I was always looking and listening. And I would write notes, not a lot,
Mm-hmm.
just something, thought starters. And I would take that home and I would lay that beside my computer and I would start writing. And I just kind of entered a different world when I did that. Sometimes I tore the world up, started over.
Well, lots of writers do that.
Yeah.
Now, music education was your major.
Yes, it was.
So how did you go from that to automobile?
That's an interesting story. I was a voice major.
Mm-hmm.
I auditioned in my senior year with the Metropolitan Opera
Wow.
in New York, and I was going to pursue a career with them. But as you mentioned in your opening remarks, I grew up on a farm in western Kansas, and I'll tell you straight out, values in western Kansas and the way people live is quite a bit different than the way people live in New York City and the opera. If you know very many people that are talented in that way, it's a cutthroat business. It's a very unstable life. I have two friends that are with them at. One is gone now, but the other one was, and went on to star with them. The one has been married 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
He's been rich. He's been poor. It just wasn't a lifestyle that I liked. And you know, I can sing at church every Sunday. I can sit in a quartet. There's a lot of ways I can share my music. I can sing Happy Birthday in the aisle of Walmart, and they can hear me in the food back in the shoe section. And that happened a few times. There's a chapter in my book about that. But yeah, yes. So my wife had been married she'd been married before. And she was good friends with a man that owned a dealership in Omaha or Wichita. And I ended up going out there and applying for work. And the rest is pretty much history. I mean, he and his general manager, who got his own store in Omaha, backed me in my store in St. Louis. And over my career, I oversaw almost 50,000 car truck sales. I mean, it was a very good career for me.
Mostly General Motors?
Yeah, I was a GM dealer. I started out with Oldsmobile, and I managed a Buick store in Omaha. And I was looking for a Buick dealership, but the Pontiac thing came along in St. Louis, and we jumped at it. So, anyway, yeah.
Okay. How did your Kiwanis leadership experience shape the way you view your everyday interactions? And how did that influence the way you wrote your story? Or
Well, Kiwanis is a worldwide service organization. It's international. We are in 84 countries. It's about 110 years old. I started out like most people do in Kiwanis. I mean, I just joined to sell a few more cars. Really, it was career oriented.
Yeah,
But,
networking.
Probably don't have time in this interview to share with you, but I interacted with a young boy that was a foster child. And that experience kind of took me from being a Kiwanis member to a Kiwanian. There's a difference. And there's some of that kind of spilled over into the Walmart experience. I went there, fighting depression and trying to get past that. And I'm a pretty outgoing guy, but I wasn't during that first few years after Shirley died. And the whole Kiwanis philosophy, one child, one community at a time, just fit with Gary Warner's lifestyle and the values that I was taught when I was raised.
Okay. In a couple minutes, in a minute, we're going to go to our break. But this segment of Author's Edge is sponsored by Canetta Taylor, author of Dead Fed Said, available in paperback, Kindle, and Kindle Unlimited. Want to join Connected Taylor in supporting Author's Edge? Become a show sponsor and connect with passionate readers and industry insiders while helping us spotlight great stories and creators. Why sponsor Author's Edge? Reach thousands of book lovers, boost visibility and sales, target meaningful support, trusted host endorsements. If you'd like to be a sponsor, call 573-714-1352 and let's chat about how we can feature you on Author's Edge, where authors and readers meet. Also, if you're in Missouri, consider joining the Missouri Writers Guild, a statewide network founded in 1915 that supports writers through workshops, conferences, contests, and professional resources. Joining is easy at MissouriWritersGuild.org. And we will be right back.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
Merton Services is a heating, air conditioning, and commercial refrigeration business that's been providing exceptional services in St. Louis for over 50 years, and they take pride in providing services and comfort to both residential and commercial customers. With the temperatures rising in the summer and dropping in the winter, your comfort and health can be put in jeopardy. With proper checks and maintenance, Mertens will keep your equipment in top shape. And when it's time to replace your furnace or your air conditioner, they've got you covered. With a wide range of options, Mertens has the perfect HVAC system to fit all of your needs. To find out how the good folks at Mertens Services can help you with all of your HVAC needs, contact Mertens Services at 314-845-1500. That's 314-845-1500. Mertens Services, 314-845-1500.
Okay, you're listening to Author's Edge, coming to you live weekly on Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 7 a.m. on KWRH929.com and KXOK102.com. Today, we are back with Gary Warner, whose book, Musings of a Walmart Reader, proves every welcome to Walmart is an invitation to connect. You like that?
I do.
From the writing desk back to the door, it sounds like your notebook has as many characters as the store does. Let's wander into the community aisle. Now, you've lived in many cities. How does Sykeston Walmart reflect small town America better than any other?
Well, I'm not sure about better than, but it certainly reflects small town America. You know, people are, they're friendly. A lot of people know each other.
Mm-hmm.
I probably knew 50% of the people that came through the door or had some sort of connection with them. But I lived in St. Louis, which is quite a bit larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that, to be honest with you, people are pretty much the same everywhere.
Yes, they are.
They like certain kinds of food. They get excited about certain things. And I would say that kind of sums up Sykeston and St. Louis.
Yeah. Did the regular customers notice when you weren't there?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I had quite a presence. I
say that
I say that with humility, but I call the experience at the front door of turning frowns upside down. If you've ever been to a Walmart, there's a lot of people that come in there that are pretty glum, and to be honest with you, a lot of those people don't.
I'll tell you honestly. Food shopping is not my favorite activity.
Yeah.
I've been doing it way too long.
And then it gets a little more complicated than that, because some of the people that come in don't have the money that you and I have.
Well, that's true too.
So they're struggling with life. And you never know what kind of burdens people are carrying.
That's true
there's
too.
Just all kinds of things. So usually when they would come in, I would say something like, "Welcome to Walmart," and they would just fall out of their shoes, who is this crazy guy? And if they
Well, I'll
weren't,
tell you, we don't get that in Poplar Bluff Walmart.
well, I'll
The
come
best-
over and talk to them about
Yeah,
that.
because sometimes we have one person over there who will occasionally sing.
Yes.
And he doesn't do it all the time.
Welcome to Walmart.
Yeah, he does that. And then he does an operatic. He'll do an operatic, but he doesn't do it all the time. And lately he hasn't done it at all because I saw him the last time I was in there and he didn't do it at all.
Well, Christmas has all kinds of possibilities.
Right.
And so about December the 1st, they'll walk in and I'll say, the weather outside is chilly. And they'll go, oh my God, but some of them will sing along. And the little kids, I'll look at them and I'll say, you better watch out. And they look at mom and daddy and mom says, listen to him, honey. You better not cry. And it's called engaging.
Yeah.
It's
And
just connecting with people.
Yeah.
It's not shopping anymore. It
becomes a fun experience.
It really is. And I would, when I go to Walmart now, I hear that a lot. Gary, it's just not the same. Most of us are not comfortable injecting our personalities into a job like that. But for me, I was writing a book. and so it was, but yes. And happy birthday. I loved happy birthday. It's one of the neatest happy birthday experiences I had. This little girl, I got kind of a reputation. I mean, people would come to Walmart with their kids on their birthdays because they wanted Gary to sing happy birthday. But this particular day, you could always tell because the birthday stuff was in the cart, and they came over and I said, I need to check your receipt. And she said, okay. And I looked, I said, what is that? Is that a cake? And I said, who is that for? And she said, well, she had a birthday. I said, you've got to be kidding me. And I said, honey, we're going to sing happy birthday and we're going to get Walmart to sing too. Is that okay? Is that okay, Mama? And everybody said it was. I walked over to self-check and I said, in my loudest operatic voice, ladies and gentlemen, we have a birthday. Carol is 6 years old and she wants us to sing to her.
Oh my goodness.
The store stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, the store stopped. Everybody that was within singing distance stopped and started singing happy birthday to that little girl. I mean, it was just something.
It must have been absolutely delightful.
And when we were through, this little lady that was checking out in self-check, she came over to the little girl and she said, honey, happy birthday, and handed her a $5 bill. Another person that was walking out handed her a $10 bill. And I'm sitting there watching because we had the courage to say happy birthday.
I love it.
And, when that family comes in, every time they came into the store, they brought that up. And when I go to Walmart now and I bump into them, they still talk about it.
Well, they'll talk. That little girl's going to talk about it forever.
Yeah. Well, one of the men said, that little girl had an experience that she's going to remember the rest of her life.
Without a
do that
doubt.
over and over and over again.
Oh, that's
Nobody
giving me goosebumps. That's giving me goosebumps.
It was there's a whole chapter in my book about birthdays. And I just share those stories. I mean, they were beautiful.
That is absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Well, you just answered now I was going to say, what's one compliment from a reader that genuinely touched you? Well, that's not a reader, but good Lord, that's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How does faith intertwine with your sense of humor?
Oh, wow. Well, God laughed too.
Well, he had to. He created us.
I mean, that's right. There's a lot to laugh at down here.
You got that right.
Yeah. Well, my faith is woven all through the book. I've had people come up and tell me. A lady stopped me last week, as a matter of fact. She said, Gary, I'm reading your book for the 4th time. And she said, it's not just about people. she said, it's about emotions and about so many things. But she said, I love the way you talk about God. Um, I mean, the good, the bad, and the ugly is in that book on my journey. So, anyway,
Now, is there one particular customer you think of often? Someone who changed you more than you changed them?
well, I don't know.
Other
about
than the
that.
6-year-old.
Yeah.
Because
You know-
obviously she probably changed everybody.
You know, I had so many different kinds of reactions. There's a chapter in my book about service animals, and
Oh,
they're, people see them come and go, and there's a lot of abuse to that. There's a lot of people that say this is a service animal when they're not. I mean, in my time at Walmart, I remember monkeys. I had a monkey that was a service animal. They thought I had a snake, lots of dogs, a couple cats. I'm trying to think what else.
Snake?
A hamster.
a snake?
A snake. He had it in his shirt, and and I called management, let them know that there was a snake in the house. In Walmart's infamous way, they said, well, we don't want to abuse anybody. Is the snake bothering anybody? And I said, well, not yet. It's good until it's not, but he didn't cause any problems as far as I know. Yes.
Ooh.
But you see a lot. But back to the service animal, this young woman, I told her I was about writing the book, and I asked her, I said, do you mind just talking to me a little bit about your service animal? And the thing that just touched my heart, and it's quite a process to get one of these dogs,
Mhm.
and they have to be trained, and you have to work with them. And I talk about that in that chapter. But the thing that touched my heart was this girl said, I had no independence until I can't remember the dog's name. And she said, he gave me independence. I can come and go by myself. He never lets me make a mistake. It was just beautiful. And I mean, that made me see life a different way. I mean, when we don't have disabilities,
Mhm.
especially our vision,
Mhm.
we don't think about that.
Right.
That was a world that was not available to her. And that
Right.
dog changed that. And
Right.
that impacted me big time.
Right. And with service animals with PTSD as well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
there's a great story in the book about that.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, share.
Oh well. He called his dog. What was the dog? What was the dog's name? I can't remember. I'm 82 years old. But anyway,
You don't have to. There's a book that'll tell us
yeah,
that.
it is in the book.
It's
yes.
it's in the book.
Anyway, the dog was a beautiful dog. It was a Victorian bulldog. It was a breed that I wasn't familiar with. It had like stripes on it, which was really weird. And everybody in the store was just petting that dog, which they're not supposed to do, but
No.
they do. And Walmart, in its infamous way, doesn't interfere. So anyway, he's leaving the store, and I stop him and talk to him a little bit. And I said, tell me about the dog. I said, people love him. I said, why do you have this dog? And he looked at me, he says, I hate people. Well, it's kind of like the guy with cancer. I mean, what do you say to a guy that says, I hate people?
Yeah.
And so I had my little notebook, and I said, do you mind just sharing a little bit about that? And he said, I didn't like being around people. I couldn't stand people. And he said, they told me I should get a dog, and I got, what is his name? It almost said it there. But anyway, he said, everybody loved him. And he said, I learned how to love through him.
Wow.
And I mean, when I left Walmart, I got this beautiful letter from him. I mean, just an incredible letter. We never know how we're going to touch a life, or
Yeah.
we really don't.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as an educator,
Yeah.
that's even more profound
I'm
because
sure.
I taught for 39 years.
Yeah.
So I have, you know,
Lots of students.
lots of students. I have no idea where
Yeah.
any of them are. I
And
mean,
how
I know
you're
where
still
some of them are.
impacting their lives.
And and the impact goes on for forever.
Yeah, you do.
Forever.
Yeah.
And you don't
You don't know how that impact is impacting lives. It's a
It's-
gift that keeps on
it's
giving.
dominoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
it
a
really
dominoes.
Is. Yeah.
If community is a story, what chapter is Walmart?
They are the microcosm of humanity. If you haven't seen it, you will. I mean, I have seen it all.
All.
There's a chapter in the book that it's called "The Man with No Pants,"
The man with no pants.
and he was the man with no pants.
He had no pants.
Well, he did when he got there, but when he was sitting in the parking lot, they were gone. It's quite a chapter.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Oh my, yeah, the man with no pants. I'm trying to think. Oh, there's.
Oh my God.
Sir, step back from the vegetables, please.
Oh goodness.
Oh my, oh my, oh my.
I mean, literally, my book is a roller coaster. When you read the book, I mean, there will be chapters that will have you literally laughing out loud. You will just have to stop because you're belly laughing, and then you will start the next chapter. And while you're reading it, you'll be tearing up, and before you're finished, you'll be crying. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. It doesn't matter whether you're a Marine or whether it just doesn't matter. We all have feelings and emotions,
Mhm.
and the book touches those emotions very deeply. The very first chapter is called Me. It was not the first chapter I wrote. It was probably the hardest chapter I wrote. But in that chapter, I share how I grew up, but then I get into the story of my younger brother dying while he was serving in Thailand in the Air Force. He died of natural death, but he was 21. And I mean, that was life-changing for me. Larry was not only my younger brother, he was my best friend. And we shared everything. I got a letter from him the day after he died. You know, I read that letter often, but I was so bitter about God, and I had not visited that part of my life for 50 years. And
Wow.
I was writing this book, and I'm just sitting there at my computer, and I started writing about Larry, and it was just like an emotional floodgate that had just opened, and I literally cried the whole time I wrote it. I mean, I stood at Larry's grave when he died, and I made him a promise that, and I remember it so vividly. I stood there and I said, Larry, you were denied your life, so I'm going to live twice as much for you. And I did. I climbed mountains that people shouldn't climb. I accomplished things in sales that people shouldn't do. I outdid myself
driven.
all the time. I was driven. And that's a horrible burden to carry.
Absolutely.
And I carried it for 37 years. And I wrote about that. And it just flowed. And it's a powerful chapter. It will touch people. It does touch people. You got me going.
Wonderful. That's what we're supposed to be doing. You've been called Walmart's resident philosopher. Do you claim that title, or return it to customer service?
Well, I'll defer the answer to all the people that I met there. I'm not sure that philosophy is the right word to use, but anyway.
Well, if it's not the right word, what would you change it to?
Oh my goodness. She's a very probing question asker. You know, one of the things that I used to say to people all the time, when they would come in, they would say, we love coming here when you're here. We just love seeing you. You're so happy, so fine. And I would look at them and I'd say, you know, when you say that, I'm just a reflection of the beautiful people that I meet. Have you ever thought of yourself as being beautiful? And I've had people break down and cry when I've said that. They've never thought of themselves that way. So I don't know whether that's a philosopher or not. I think I've helped people find themselves sometimes.
So when you go home, do you see yourself the same way?
Well, I thank God every night, every morning. When I went to Walmart every day, my prayer was always the same. God, help me find someone that needs something and help me be that something. That was a prayer that I listened every day. And every night before I went to bed, I would say, God, thank you for putting me in front of someone who needed something, and I was that something. Um, I got to say that prayer a lot, and I give
Okay.
thanks a lot.
How has greeting thousands of people changed your understanding of empathy?
I think I just told you.
I think you did.
I
Very
had
well.
empathy before, but
But sometimes I think most of us have empathy,
yeah,
but sometimes we need to be reminded of it,
yeah, we do. It doesn't have
or we need to,
connection to
or
the
maybe we
word.
need to have it fine tuned.
We do. I remember when Shirley died, I I would just catch myself crying. I mean, for no reason. I would sit. I never sat in the back of the church in my life, but I was in the back pew after that, and I would leave before church was over because I didn't want to be around people. I didn't trust myself around people. It was just a tough. I remember one night when I was sitting in my recliner at home. It was 7:26, and I had two little Yorkies. They're both gone now, but they were sitting in my lap and they were licking my tears. And I felt this urge to get out of the chair, get in my car, and drive someplace and find somebody that was hurting more than me. Now, that's weird. That's weird. And at 10 minutes till 8, I found myself in the parking lot of Clearview Nursing Home, which was at the end of my street. And miraculously, when I got out of my car, the door was unlocked. And I walked in. Everybody was asleep, you can imagine. There was a lady sitting at the desk in the middle of it kind of shaped out like a cross, and she was in the middle of that thing, and she was looking at me. And I walked down to her, and she said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, I'm not sure. This is going to sound really strange. My name is Gary Warner, and I've been sent here to help somebody that's hurting more than me." And I remember saying that, and I thought, oh my God, I hope to hell she doesn't call somebody and arrest me. Really and truly, I apologize, but that
No, you're
really
right
and
on
truly.
target.
Yes.
You're right on target.
Yeah, and she just looked at me with the strangest look, and she got up and she said, "Follow me." And she took me down, and I knew where we were going because I could see there was one light in one room in the whole place. And we went to that place, and we walked in, and she introduced me just like I'd introduced myself. She said, "This is Gary Warner. He's looking for someone that's hurting more than you. I'm going to leave you with him." And she left us alone. Well, that's a pretty, and the lady was just sitting there in her bed kind of looking at me weird like. And I said, "I apologize for interrupting your evening, but, I've been going through a lot and I just wanted
to talk.
And that's the last thing I said for 47 minutes. That woman had not had a visitor in 3.5 years.
Oh,
She was all alone. But you know what? Neither of us were all alone anymore.
yeah.
And when I left, I felt better.
And I'm sure
I
she did
took
too.
that and that became a mission that I still follow. I still go out and do that. But at Walmart, I got to do that every day. Not so dramatically, but in tiny
Right.
bits and pieces. And each one of those relationships just took a life of their own. And some people would call it empathy. I would just call it God kicking me in the rear.
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah, kind of.
I think
Yeah.
I think it's a
Yeah.
combination of both. I really do. Have you ever been tempted to write a follow-up to More Musings from Aisle 9?
Repeat that.
Have you ever been tempted to write a follow-up, like More Musings from Aisle 9?
Oh. Well,
Is there a volume?
I have been asked
Is
that
there a
a lot.
volume 2 coming?
First of all, I don't work there anymore, and I don't, it wouldn't be the same. And secondly, I don't think I could improve on what I've done where Walmart is concerned.
Right.
But is there a second book? I don't know. I'm asked that all the time, and I pray about it a lot. I have an idea or two flying around in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done it yet.
You want to share?
A little bit. I am fascinated by miracles.
Uh-huh.
I've experienced miracles. I've seen miracles. I mean, if we are truly people of faith, and if we believe in a Jesus that could turn water into wine, if we believe in a Jesus that could heal people, if we believe in a Jesus that could raise people from the dead, we're pretty weak in our faith if we don't believe that God can still do that in real time, and has been doing that in real time. And so I've already started a little bit of a collection of those kind of stories. They're hard to get because, I mean, it's not like Walmart. I can't go door to door and say, how's your faith? They'd not be as polite as that nurse was. But that's a book that's kind of flying around in me. We reach a time in our life that we kind of want to wrap things up and we want to leave the world in a positive way. And so that book's kind of driving me. Don't know whether it'll ever happen or not. We'll see.
All right. You've told us about that vow that you had made.
Yeah. That vow, that was a heavy thing. That was a burden.
So you said you had said that you had for 37 years, 36 years, you had kept that vow. So what made you stop with that vow?
Well, Shirley was still living, and I can't remember. She used to get so upset with me. I was a driven person. I remember, to give you an example, as a Pontiac dealer, we were in the top 10% of all dealers in the country. I was the number one Pontiac dealer for 7 years in customer satisfaction. I asked a lot from my people, and they gave a lot, and I gave back to them. But they have something called the Masters, Pontiac Masters, which is a trip of the lifetime for dealers in that top echelon. And I had set some specific goals in the dealership, and we didn't hit them. And the trip was coming up in 3 weeks, and it was to Hawaii. The rooms were $450 a night. And I mean, Pontiac they'd spent $7-10 million on these trips. I mean, it was a trip.
Special.
It was special. And I drove home and I said, honey, we're not going to go. I made a promise to my people that if we didn't hit our goals, that I was not taking that trip. She said, honey, you're crazy. We've got to go. And I said, I'm sorry. I'd be breaking my vows to myself. She called the general manager of Pontiac, who called me and said, what? Well, I can't tell you what he said. Not on radio.
But we got a good imagination.
Yes. It was,
Yeah,
it was to the point.
He's married to a woman like that.
Well, long story short, I thanked him for his call, but I told him, I said, I'm not going. And I didn't. And that was just one example of how I pressed myself, sometimes to impossible places. I mean, just stupid, crazy things. And we were having a conversation one night. And she says, Gary, why do you do that to yourself? I'd never shared that with her, ever. And we shared everything. And I said, you just don't understand. And when I told her, I said, I made a promise to my brother 37 years ago. And she looked like me, like I was from another planet. I mean, she really did. And she said, honey, you can't carry that burden. She said, "Why are you doing that to yourself?" And I remember I just broke down and cried. I mean, it was 37 years coming out, and it was a tough night.
I would imagine so.
It was a tough night, but my wife was a tough lady, and she could handle it, and she got me through it.
Which aisle best represents your personality?
Say that again.
Which aisle best represents your personality?
Gift cards.
Gift cards. I would have said that. Because they are greetings.
Yeah.
They say hello.
You know, we're a gift to each other if we'll just let our light shine, you know.
Yep. What's one question you wish people ask greeters more often?
Well, I wish they would say, "Have a nice day." I've seen lots of middle fingers. You know, I laugh about that, but truly, most of the people that came and went at Walmart and still do are really nice people.
I've always, my philosophy has always been there are a whole lot more nice people out there than not nice people.
And even some of the people that aren't so nice, I have to share a short story with you, and I think the story's in my book. But I had this lady come in one day, and I did what I always do. "Welcome to Walmart." And she looked at me, and she just, and really went off at me, and just shot past me. And I thought, what was that all about? And she got about 30 or 40 foot past me, and she turned around, and she came back, and she said, "I am so sorry." She said, "You checked my receipt last week." I didn't even remember her. She said, "You checked my receipt last week." And she said, "I'm not a dishonest person." And she said, "That made me so mad." And she said, and she just started crying. Just started crying. And she said, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And I remember taking her, just literally taking her in my arms. And I said, "You know what? It's okay. It's okay." And the very same day, about an hour later, this young man came in. I spoke to him. He was glaring at me. And he walked by me. And when he finished shopping, came back out, he stopped and he said, "You stopped me 2 years ago." True story. 2 years ago, I bought a television, and you stopped me and wouldn't let me leave till I showed you my receipt. I don't like you. And I said, "Can I at least pray for you?" And he looked at me and he glared. And he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "Nobody should do that for 2 years." And I said, "You're right." I said, "Can I set you free?" And we shook hands. So that kind of tells the story.
What's next for you?
Who
Real
knows?
quick, we got 2 minutes. What's next?
2 minutes. Well, I'm going to get back home.
And
that's a 2-hour drive.
Yep.
Well, I suspect I'll keep on looking for people that have a story.
All right. Thank you, Gary Warner, for being with us on Author's Edge. Your book, Musings of a Walmart Greeter, reminds us that kindness and humor still ring true in every aisle. And thank you to our listeners for joining us on Author's Edge on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 1029. You can also hear us on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and authorsedge.org. Tune in again next week for more tips, resources, and your favorite conversations. Our next guest will be Mary Fagan, author of Finding Grandmama God. Until then, keep reading, keep creating, and I'll see you around the inkwell. Bye.